This sport is sponsored by WhatsApp. Padres got another massive comeback victory. Manny Machado went 4 for 4, getting 2 runs in the ninth inning, and Cronenworth hitting a single in the 10th to win it. They'll be back tonight at 6:45 for Game 3 of the series. The Padres are currently minus 115 on the money line. Nick Pivetta will be going for San Diego, while Kyle Harrison will be going for the Giants in the Stanley Cup Final. Gets going tonight with the Florida Panthers in Edmonton taking on the Oilers at 5 o'clock. Florida is plus 105 on the money line, while Edmonton is minus 125 with the puck line being set at 6.5. Wondering what a personal message with your credit card number has in common with way too many pictures of your dog? Well, they're both private, because on WhatsApp, your personal messages are yours. No one else can see or hear them, not even them. WhatsApp, message privately with everyone.
Yeah, let's get it going here on a Wednesday, San Diego Sports 760. My name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. We are with you until 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Lots to break down on the show today. First of all, we're about a week and a half away from one of the most important days in the human history of the world, the birthday of Sammy Long. We'll continue to keep you updated on that one.
Oh, no. We're a minute into the show, and that's been mentioned already?
Every day until it's your birthday, Sammy, and then don't just wait for your birthday. It's going to be the most special day of all time. And then 91 days away from the start of the NFL season, Padres have won 7 of their last 9 somehow, man. They just keep finding ways to do it. Last night was another impressive one. NBA Finals get going tomorrow night. NHL Stanley Cup Final gets going tonight. Djokovic is on TV right now. Sammy's no longer allowed to pick tennis and long shots.
Whoa.
Sinner didn't do it last night, dude.
This morning, Yannick won in 19 games, and we needed 18. Bubic took him to the break point. Very frustrating. Roland Garros has not been kind to us on the betting market so far.
So, yeah, just no more tennis picks. I think that's the way to go. Good thing we got Stanley Cup Final and NBA Final to go for the next couple of weeks here, and those will be the picks moving forward for a little bit until we get to just baseball time. We do have a couple giveaways for you. We got 4-pack of tickets to go see Dierks Bentley out in Chula Vista on June 19th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We also have a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Bring out the fam. It's going to be a great time. It's the Summer Pet-tacular this year. Tickets and info at sdfair.com. We're going to start with the Padres here, then we'll get back to them in a little bit. I just wanted to hit some bullet points about last night's game because it was an impressive win. The last 2 have been impressive wins. They found ways to win in really, really strange baseball games the last 2 days up in the Bay Area. They narrowly avoided a fight, even though it seemed like Manny Machado kind of wanted to fight 2 nights ago in San Francisco. Last night, Manny Machado goes 4 for 4. He and Tyler Wade combined for the absolute pitch-perfect relay play going to home. I'm sure there are high school baseball coaches all over the country today showing that play on replay to their defensive players because it was perfect. It was exactly what you teach from Little League all the way through high school. But Manny and Cronenworth had the big hits in the night. In the 9th and the 10th innings, Manny gets a 2 RBI double, which he ended up really stretching a single into a double, and Jake Cronenworth gets the single that ends up being the game winner. But those weren't the 2 most impressive at-bats to me. No. It was Fernando Tatis Jr. and Luis Arraez. Fernando, who walked twice yesterday. Luis Arraez had the walk in the 10th. Those 2 dudes have been in a bit of a slump. Fernando's been hitting about as bad as you've seen him hit in his professional career. But getting the walks is the first thing to start turning the corner. And Fernando, for a guy who's been swinging at everything, who's been uncharacteristically swinging at everything lately, it was good to see him get on base and end up scoring the tying run for the Padres last night. And then the other big tip of my cap goes to Xander Bogaerts, who in the 10th inning last night, infield playing in because the Giants sack bunted to get the dude from second to third, infield playing in, gets that backhand stop on a rocket of a ground ball to really save the game for the Padres. I thought some impressive defense, some impressive hitting, some timely hitting, and a really nice starting performance from Brian Burgert was what saved the Padres yesterday in another weird win.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And to think that, I mean, with Kolek going against Webb and then Burgert going yesterday, going into the series, I thought if you could steal one of those games, knowing that you have Pivetta going tonight and then Cease going tomorrow, that would be big for winning the series. The fact that they were able to take both, albeit in odd ways, but they were able to do it, able to kind of be gritty and bite down the mouthpiece a little bit and get those wins. And we've known this about this team. This team, I think why even though during the struggling times of this team, it's there's always kind of that hope that they could do something in October. I think that they need to still improve the roster, and there's some holes that are there to be had. But there's certain teams in the MLB that when they're losing, if you're a fan of the other team, you don't feel great. The Dodgers are that way. The Phillies are that way. Both New York teams are that way. I think the Padres are in that category as well because of the amount of excellent hitters. I mean, the fact that Machado had been slumping and he goes 4 for 4 last night. Tatis had been slumping. Tatis had a big hit last night. So it's just it was impressive. It kind of shows you that the Padres strike the fear of God in people sometimes in a way that the Giants, a team that's a very solid baseball team, don't, because they
can't hit.
They can't hit, and there's not really that fear that they're going to come back. So shout out to the boys last night. They had a big performance.
What we've seen the last 2 days, and Kevin Acee made note of this, and I might get the number wrong, but in the last, I want to say it's 15 games. I could be wrong on that. We'll check it during the commercial break. But in the last 15 games, the 2 worst hitting offenses in baseball have been the Giants and the Padres, and they're facing off with each other right now. And we've seen it. 3-2 and 1-0 have been the 2 final scores of these games, but the Padres have found ways to win, and there's something to be said for that, absolutely. All right, coming up on the other side of the big 3, we have a stat that these San Diego Padres have in common with only one other Major League Baseball team, and it was from years ago, but that team went on to win a World Series. I'll tell you what that stat is coming up in about 10 minutes. First, we're going to get to the big 3 where Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports. Sammy, smash that button, baby.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big 3.
If you'd like to watch the show today, you can do so in a multitude of ways on X at Fletch and Sammy. You can watch it there at Fletch and Sammy on X, and then on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Our buddy Rich chiming in on YouTube after Tatis didn't advance on that wild pitch. His steal was huge. We don't tie if he's not on second. Absolutely true. Tatis making some big moves, and that's what you want to see from a guy who's slumping, is for him to do some of the little things really in the right way. Thank you for that comment, Rich. And if you want to comment on YouTube, that's an easy way for us to see what you got. Again, at San Diego Sports 760. Sammy, where are we starting with the big 3?
All right, so there's a report out of Browns training camp that there is a legitimate path for him to be QB1. Now, this comes after him taken in the 5th round of the draft. Dylan Gabriel selected before him, as well as Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco on the roster. Is he going to be the week 1 starter, Fletch? And if not, how long before he is?
It would shock me if Joe Flacco is not the week 1 starter. But the Cleveland Browns are a very shocking organization with a lot of things they do. It would surprise me if it's not Joe Flacco. But look, if Shedeur balls out in preseason, there's no reason not to. You know, the numbers came out today. Shedeur Sanders is the leading of this year's draft class, the leading jersey sales rookie in the entire class, followed by Travis Hunter, followed by Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick. So pick number 144 is already leading every other pick in the NFL draft in terms of jersey sales. That's what the Cleveland Browns ended up taking him for. That's why the ownership stepped in and said, we have to take this guy, even though it's pick 144. We probably should have taken him 4 rounds earlier, or somebody should have. Shedeur Sanders does have a legitimate path to it, but it's going to be the Browns caring about money over production a little bit. I do think he needs some time to sit and bake and watch Joe Flacco.
He needs some time, but I mean, who the guys around him? Kenny Pickett is a draft bust.
Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I will hear no shade thrown on Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco's had a great career. Are you going to tell me that a team that's starting Joe Flacco week 1 is serious about selling tickets?
Joe Flacco is elite.
Joe Flacco's what, 39 years old? 38 years old?
I believe so. He might be like 40. That.
So
he was raking leaves about 2 years ago when he got a call saying he needed to come back to the NFL.
And Joe Flacco, Super Bowl champion quarterback, done a lot for the game. Shedeur sells tickets, as evidenced by the fact that the jersey sales are up. He's over Travis Hunter. All the top pick in the draft, Cam Ward, he is above. I mean, when do you ever see that a guy taking the 5th round, obviously unique circumstances with him. He should have been a 1st round pick, fell all the way down there. But I just see as we get closer, I don't see any of these guys beating him out. The only shot is that if Gabriel gets it, because it's a really bad look for the Browns organization, that you draft this guy before him. Your scouting department, by what they did, are telling you that they think Dylan Gabriel's better than Shedeur Sanders. You take him before him, and then you start Shedeur over him. That's not a very good look, but I don't know how you can keep this guy off the field.
Nobody had Dylan Gabriel as a potential starting quarterback coming out of this draft class. Nobody did. Nobody had him over Shedeur Sanders in terms of talent. Now, in terms of too hot to touch, Shedeur was number 1 in this entire draft, I would say. But his talent, nobody disagrees that he is more talented than Dylan Gabriel.
Exactly. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, if the only knock on Shedeur heading into the draft process was he never beat good teams. They didn't play well against good teams. Well,
that wasn't the only knock. The headphones in the meetings, the entourage that he rolled with, the disrespect he showed, those were the big ones.
Definitely. But on the field, there was a knock that when they set up a competition, against Nebraska, he had a horrible game. Well, Dylan Gabriel, with one of the most stacked offensive lines and great receiving cores in the country, got 8 up by Ohio State in that playoff game. Speaking of Ohio State, Ryan Day, head coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes, made news today that he says the Big Ten should deserve 4 automatic bids in the upcoming playoff. There's been a lot of discussions. Expansion, 5 and 11 model would be 16 teams. Do you agree there should be 4 teams from the Big Ten every year?
There probably will be. That's the tricky part about this. Like, the 4 automatic bids isn't really necessary when you think about the schools that are in the conference. So that's where it gets tricky. But it's Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Wisconsin. Most likely out of that grouping, there's probably going to be more than 4 teams in sometimes. It is a powerhouse of a college football conference, but if you're Ryan Day, this is a little soft to me. It really is. For the head coach of Ohio State, who is probably going to be in this thing more years than it isn't, to even have to say that is a little bizarre. And I get you're saying you play the toughest conference schedule of any program in the country. I understand that, Ryan. But you have to earn your way in for a reason. And your power rankings, if you play in the toughest conference in football, should be enough to get 4 teams in every single year. Am I wrong on that, Sammy?
No, I think you're right on that. I mean,
it does feel a little soft.
The claim is that Ohio State won the Natty this year, Michigan won it last year. So Big Ten, the SEC for years has claimed that they're the conference. Well, that seems to have been changing, especially adding SC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington to it. Yeah, it does feel like it's unnecessary, because then what happens? And the SEC is going to go, well, we dominated for years. We want 4 teams in. So then that's 8 teams taken up. And then the ACC might go, well, we want a couple teams in. They're not as good of a conference with the Big 12. It feels like there will be, to your point, 4 teams in from the Big Ten. I mean, if you just take on face value, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State should all be in the playoff this year. And then you have an outside. Oregon should be in the playoff. As of right now, USC has a shot. UCLA's got a shot. I mean, there's a lot of programs in there that's very good. It does seem odd to me that we're giving automatic bids. But, I mean, if college football at the end of the day, at some point, is going to be basically the NFL with 2 massive conferences, which kind of already is with the SEC and the Big Ten, where the premier programs go there. It would be a shame if the Big Ten would be okay. What I don't want to see is the ACC or the Big 12 getting automatic bids and teams that shouldn't be in there getting over teams that maybe fought tougher records because they get an automatic bid. Quickly, last story, NBA. Adam Silver just announced that the NBA All-Star Game, getting rid of that.
Good.
Getting to an NHL model, the 4 nations face off.
Great.
Last year where they had Sweden, Finland, Canada, and America. They're going to do something with that where they play other countries.
USA versus the world.
Reaction.
That's what we all want. USA versus the world. Make it team LeBron, Curry, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and who am I dropping, Sammy? Jalen Brunson, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Bring me Team USA versus Team the World. Giannis and Luka on the same team with Jokic. That would be badass, dude. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually qualifies. He's born in Canada, I think.
Yeah.
So if yes, sign me up all day. Make it a best 2 out of 3. I don't care. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think
take everything out. Dunk contest, go. It's tired now. Blake Griffin's not jumping over cars anymore.
Yeah, every big dunk's Superman. Been done before.
Yeah, I don't need to see Mac McClung once a year for the rest of my life.
Totally agree. Love this format. The NBA All-Star Game. All All-Star games have been dreadful. The NBA All-Star Game is a tough watch. And someone who loves the NBA, I don't watch it. It's disgusting. There's no defense playing. They're not trying. In the 90s, it used to be fun because you had, Kobe and Michael Jordan, they would try. They would actually play defense and try to win the game because it meant something. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I love this. Hockey was able to do this. I'm surprised hockey didn't do this earlier because of the fact that so many great players come from Sweden and Canada and Russia and other countries like that. But now with the expansion of the game and all your stars, Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Shai, all your guys, some of your last couple of MVPs have all been from other countries. I think that it'd be really fun to watch them play against the world and kind of create competition for the Olympics down the road.
Got a tweet from our buddy Rob that I want to read before we get to break, and then we'll answer it on the other side. He says, "You're on the Shador bandwagon now, Fletch? I vividly remember you ripping him about a year ago. Said he'd be a bust. What's up, Fletch?" However you spell his name. He spelled Shador wrong. Rob, I don't think Shador is going to be a very good NFL quarterback. I will respond to this on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. We'll also give you the full breakdown of last night's Padres-Giants game. Coming up next, Dirks Bentley tickets to come on the show. We got SD Fair tickets to give away on the show today. Allen Sliwa is going to join us at 12:30 to break down the NBA Finals. We got a long way to go here on a Wednesday. Stay tuned. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Tonight, 6 o'clock, right here on San Diego Sports 760. It is SDFC Midweek Live. Hear from the head coach, Mikey Vadas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. SDFC Midweek Live every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, right here on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. All right, we got a long way to go today. We got to talk about Love Island at some point. The debut of the new season was last night. And I don't know, Sammy, you're not married yet. You're not in a relationship, right? You don't have a lady right now?
Not right now.
We're working on that.
We're working on it. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been married now 3 years. I've been with my wife for 10 years. And when I'm sitting on the couch in our condo, I don't get TV privileges anymore. I'm sure that's something that a lot of married men deal with, unless it's like a big, big event. Unless it's like the Super Bowl or an NBA postseason game. Like, I don't really get TV privileges anymore. I get downgraded to the iPad, especially for regular season baseball games. So I'm sitting there watching the Padres game last night on the iPad, and on TV behind the iPad is Love Island. And I will be completely honest and have no shame about this. The iPad got put down at one point, and I was watching all Love Island because it is the most fascinating, trashy, scandalous, terrible show I've ever watched in my life, and it's fantastic, and I think I love every second of it. And then I had to go back afterwards and rewind the Padres game and watch the rest of it from in bed. But we'll get to all that a little bit later on. Rob tweets at the show and is giving me some schmack because about a year ago, and I won't hide from this, I was talking mad smack about Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be a very good NFL quarterback. I think this was a bad quarterback draft. That doesn't mean I think Shedeur should have gone after Dylan Gabriel at pick 144 in the draft. I thought it would have been a reach to snag him in the first round, but if that's what the analytics have, if that's what Mel Kiper has, then maybe that's where teams should have taken him. I think the Browns probably drew the short end of the stick with Shedeur Sanders. I really do. But you look at that quarterback room, and as much as I can joke that I think Joe Flacco's elite, Shedeur Sanders might end up being the best option for them this year, especially if they want to sell some more tickets and want to sell some more jerseys, as is evident by Shedeur Sanders already having the highest jersey sales of any rookie in this year's draft class. I don't think I'm giving any sort of glowing endorsement to Shedeur Sanders on the show.
I think you're being fair. I think you're just saying that of the options. I mean, if you look
he's
at
better than Dylan Gabriel. I'll say that.
The value you're starting to get in the third day of the draft to would teams that have great quarterbacks, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, would they take this guy to sit behind him, play good in the preseason and trade him? I mean, you're talking about value where they were taken. I think any team was about to take Shedeur Sanders at that point, knowing that you had this guy, take obviously the whole situation with his dad out of it. But no, I think you're being fair about it.
I will say at 144, I would love for him to come out and ball out this year. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about Shedeur Sanders being a bust, because I think it'd be funny as hell to watch the league squirm a little bit. All right, Padres last night. Say a couple things here. I do think they're turning things around. The offense doesn't look good right now. It hasn't looked good for a month and a half now. They're starting to turn some things around. I saw it 2 nights ago against the Giants with some big ABs late in the game by Jose Iglesias. I saw it last night for Manny Machado, who's a lot more important than Jose Iglesias. Manny Machado is getting into that groove, man, where he's about to go nuclear for about a month. And he's been, his average has been slowly climbing here over the last few weeks. And you're starting to see him put a lot of balls in play. You're starting to see, especially last night, that solid contact with the effortless swing where he's never going to hit a home run with that swing, I don't think. But he is just getting some nice contact, middle of the barrel. You see it, especially in the ball that bounced off of second base last night and trickled into the outfield. He is squaring balls up, trying to go the other way a little bit. He mentioned something to Kevin Acee after the game where it was like, I'm just not trying to do too much with every at bat because I'm just trying to get back to that form. I'm telling you right now, Manny Machado might have 10 homers in the next month because he's starting to get that swing and that rhythm back. He's taking bad pitches. He's going the other way with low and away sliders, which has always kind of been his kryptonite. Manny Machado, if I'm going to make one prediction for this Padres season, it's that for the next month, he's the hottest hitter in baseball.
Well, and you've seen, even during his struggles, he's been hitting the ball extremely hard. It's kind of unlucky, the fact that at one point he had like 3 home runs, but was hitting the ball at some of the hardest contact in the entire league. So knowing that Manny Machado is an elite hitter, has been an elite hitter for a very long time in this league, and considering that it feels like every year we kind of get off to this, is he gets off the extremely slow starts. I was listening to Schaefer the other day on John and Jim, and he's like, this actually has been a better start for him than some other starts the last couple of years that have been absolutely awful. I mean, I remember a year ago we were talking about, I mean, just like what needs to happen to this guy? Did they move him down the lineup? You're obviously not DFAing Manny Machado, but like it was getting to the point where he was getting unplayable, and then all of a sudden he starts raking. So we know at the top of the lineup, this team is elite. The bats should come and go. Coach Quintero says it on our show every Thursday at 1:30. The bats come and go. It's nice seeing the pitching really step up, because I was worried over the last couple of weeks with Michael King going out, thinking Yu Darvish would maybe be back by then. That is not happening. He's throwing some bullpens and everything. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But the fact that the back end of the rotation with Kolek and Bergert yesterday and a lot of the other guys, Pivetta has been an absolute ace all season. It's nice that the pitching has held up. despite the bats being a little bit down, and they were gritty last night.
Berger, by the way, I really like his stuff. He's got that little cutter. He throws about 89 miles an hour. If you're a right-handed hitter, good luck. It has late movement on it. He was painting the outside corner with it last night, the low and outside pitch. It's a nice little pitch that he has. And that was sort of his go-to. He got tons of ground balls, couple double plays from that pitch. And there was a moment in the second inning where he was sort of losing his command, losing his control. And Niebla comes out to the mound for about 20 seconds, if that. And then right away, boom, double play ball on the next pitch, gets out of the inning, easy as pie. And he gave the Padres 5 last night. That's all we could ask for.
And to do it against the Giants. I know the Giants have been not hitting well at all recently.
They cannot hit.
They can't hit. And I know people up in the Bay, or we had Mark Willard on talking about Adames has looking like the possible Xander Bogaerts contract for the Padres. But to do it, it is a division rival. That is a historic ballpark. That's a tough place to probably have your first big league start. And he pitched amazing. I wild expectations. I thought if he gave up 3 or less runs, that was going to be a successful night, and he was money.
The wind helped him out. There's definitely a couple home run balls out to right field that didn't go out because of it. All right, I did promise a stat of what Padres have in common with one World Series winning team. Here it is. The Padres are the first Major League Baseball team to win back-to-back road games despite being shut out through 8 innings in both, since the Diamondbacks did it back in 2001 when they won the World Series. Just saying.
Wow.
Padres might win a World Series this year because of that. All right, Allen Sliwa is coming up next. We're going to preview the NBA Finals with him, talk a little bit about Luka's future with the Lakers. That's next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by eBay. The Stanley Cup Final gets going tonight in Edmonton for Game 1. It'll be a rematch of last year between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid's looking for his first NHL title after winning MVP. Tonight, it'll be at 5 o'clock. It's currently even. Florida has been bet tonight. Edmonton is minus 120 with the total at 6.5. And the Padres coming off a big win. Manny Machado going 4 for 4 last night. Will be back in action at 6:45 with Nick Pivetta on the mound. Swapping out your tires. There's nothing like it with eBay. You find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you. If you want to watch the show, you can do so on both YouTube and X. On YouTube, it is at San Diego Sports 760. On X, it's at Fletch and Sammy. You can find us there. We're going to be joined by Allen Sliwa in just a minute here on the show. And as a matter of fact, Allen Sliwa's here. He hosts Hoops Talk with Allen Sliwa on YouTube. You can check him out there. We're going to get a little finals preview from Allen. We'll get a little Lakers talk from Allen. But first, I just want to check in, Allen. How have you been since the Lakers season came to an end?
Yeah, that was quick, right? That playoff one wasn't very long. It's kind of funny. I mean, I'm a big fan of the NBA. So to be honest with you, once they were out, I still thought there were a lot of interesting matchups. I still thought there were a lot of interesting teams that were involved, good storylines. And for the Lakers in general, honestly, there's always something to talk about. So I think even with a month plus now that they've been eliminated, there's still been some interesting things around the Lakers. So I think in general, there's still a lot of content to hit on.
That's fair. I mean, we'll see what happens with Luka and in the future here. Is he getting close to a contract extension? Is that what everyone's thinking?
I think, I think at this point, the surprise would be that he didn't extend with the Lakers. I think he will. I think the question is just going to be, will he sign a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal? And it's just going to depend on if he wants a little bit more flexibility. The money that he lost, that he wasn't able to get in Dallas on a Supermax, probably leans him more towards a 3-year deal. He can't sign anything till August 2nd. And now it kind of gives the Lakers an opportunity over the next 2 months to say, okay, well, let's put something together, around you so that you're comfortable with what the future looks like. And it's going to be challenging. I think Lakers will definitely be active. I don't think anybody thinks Lakers are just going to sit back and do nothing, but obviously they're trying to build something now, not around Anthony Davis, not around LeBron James, but around Luka Doncic.
Allen, do you think Austin Reeves fits in with Luka, and would you be apt to trade him, or where are you at with that? There's been a lot of discussion about him heading out of town.
Yeah, I think, look, I find it difficult to say, hey, here's a championship backcourt with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. And it's not to say that they both aren't really good players. Obviously, we know what Luka is. I think Austin Reeves has had a fantastic career and kind of his journey with the Lakers. I think he's on a very favorable contract, but you got to ask yourself if, what's more important right now for the Lakers? Is it having a backcourt that's focused on offense and really terrible defense together, if you look at the two guys, or does it make more sense to see what you can get for Austin Reeves? Now, there is a world that they don't have to trade Austin Reeves, and they could still address the center position, and they could still address getting a big man and getting, more defenders and bigger wing players. I think that's what the Lakers are going to try to do. But I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't think if there's a deal that makes sense and Austin Reeves involved in that deal, and it's a player that you're pairing with Luka for the next 4 or 5 years, I think the Lakers would highly consider it. I mean, how could they not? I think they like Austin Reeves, but I think at the same time, if there's a deal out there that makes sense for the present and the future, of course they got to consider it.
Allen Sliwa, host of Hoops Talk with Allen Sliwa on YouTube. You can give him a subscription there. But Allen, you look at the NBA Finals we got coming up: Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder. The latest betting line I saw on this was the Pacers were plus 500 to win the NBA Finals this year. That feels like a very attractive number to me. I mean, at plus 500, I feel like that's worth putting some money down for. Are the Pacers that big of underdogs heading into this series?
So I think there's a couple factors. I was actually just, here in my car, and I was listening a little bit to Sirius XM, the NBA channel, and Pascal Siakam was just talking. And somebody had asked him kind of a similar question of like, hey, what do you think of just how much of a favorite the Thunder are? They were underdogs against the Cavs, 64-win team. They were underdogs against the Knicks. If the Bucks had Damian Lillard, they'd be underdogs in the first round against the Bucks, just based on Giannis and Dame. So Pascal basically said that they're very comfortable with the position that they're in. Now, the Thunder, give them all the credit in the world. They won 68 games. There's a reason why they're such heavy favorites. But it's been pretty special what Indiana's put together, and they're not relying on one guy. There's a number of players that contribute. I think this will be a closer series than people think. And even if my end result still believes that the Thunder are going to win the series, I actually think the Pacers can make this a little bit more interesting than people are giving them credit for.
Alan, do you think the Pacers are set up to kind of dominate the East for the next while? Are you surprised that Thibodeau got fired, considering it seems like them and the Knicks would be the two most logical choices with Tatum out for next year?
I think the East is, I still kind of feel this. I still think it's wide open. I think that, there's going to be teams that are very aggressive in the offseason because they feel like the East has an opportunity, that there is a window. Indiana, it's been amazing what they've done. And maybe, I've underestimated them in the playoffs. I watched them against the Knicks, and I thought they were phenomenal. They were exciting. But they also are a team that, have unbelievable comebacks so far in the playoffs. We may never see this again, some of the games that they came back in. I don't think you're looking at them and saying, hey, this is the Kevin Durant Warriors, and you're saying, well, might as well punt and just wait a couple of years because we can't compete with this. I think what's going to happen in the Eastern Conference is a team like the Knicks will try to improve. The Cavs are going to try to improve. Take the Celtics maybe out of the picture for this year because of the Tatum, situation, but you guys saw some of the reports that the Toronto Raptors are going to try to be aggressive and see if they can get into Giannis sweepstakes. I think teams are going to look at it as an opportunity, and I think the East and kind of the way the NBA is structured, you could have a new Eastern Conference champion for the next couple of years just based upon how open it is.
It's kind of interesting, Alan, that we could see probably a few different NBA Finals MVPs this year. It could be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it could be Tyrese Halliburton. It should be Paul George, right? Because both these teams are sort of built on trades that sent away Paul George. How freaking fascinating is this matchup, considering Paul George is sort of just rotting away now?
So I opened up ESPN this morning. I'm just, kind of doing some research for my show, and the front cover was Paul George in a Thunder jersey and Paul George in a Pacer jersey. And in my head, I'm like, this guy he can't dodge a bullet here. Everyone look, Paul George is getting strays thrown his way. It is fascinating to see, obviously how team.
We lose Alan. Alan, you there?
You got me okay?
Maybe talk for a second. Do a little live on air test. This is fun.
All right, you guys got me here?
Yeah, we hear you now. Keep going. Okay,
sorry about that. So all I was saying was that the Paul George piece of this, and him obviously getting, moved and played for both of those franchises. What's crazy to think about is when they traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they also got the number 11 pick, which ended up being Jalen Williams. Literally, the Oklahoma City Thunder's foundation and their infrastructure right now came from Paul George and the Clippers. That's what organizations kind of know when to rebuild, and the Thunder clearly did that, and give the Pacers a lot of credit for rebuilding too.
Alan, if we think Oklahoma City, or do you think Oklahoma City is going to dominate for the next 5 years in the West, or do you think there's a team in the Western Conference that could catch them next year?
I think the West is going to be very competitive, and I think if you look at where's Kevin Durant going to end up? Is he going to end up with the Houston Rockets? Is he going to end up with the San Antonio Spurs? Do the Spurs make a run at Giannis? I think, yes, the Thunder are unbelievably set up for years to come. But I think there's teams in the Western Conference that also can make some noise. So I think, the structure of the CBA, I don't think you can sit back and just say one team's going to just completely dominate. Now, maybe Thunder prove us all wrong because of the way they've been structured and they've been built, but they're also going to have to pay their young players as well at some point. And once they do, they're going to have to make decisions like similar to how the Denver Nuggets had to do after they won a championship. It's tough to build a dynasty in today's NBA, and that's kind of the infrastructure that the Adam Silver and the NBA wants.
Allen, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. Find him on YouTube at Hoops Talk with Allen Sliwa. You could catch him there, going live, doing pre-recorded stuff all the time. Allen, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, Allen Sliwa, one of the best in the biz, talking to NBA, giving us a little finals preview. I do think he's right. I like the money on the Pacers, man. Plus 500. I don't know that they're going to win this series, but it's not going to be a blowout. I'm pretty confident it is not going to be a sweep or a 5-game series here.
I think so as well. The Pacers they're kind of, Allen said, they're used to being dogs.
Yeah.
Every series they have been an underdog in on the betting markets.
And they're adopting the Tyrese Halliburton, the underrated thing or overrated thing, excuse me. And they're rolling with that spirit. I like it.
And you have the most exciting offense in the Pacers kind of coming into the series in the entire NBA, pace of play in the best defense. Something's got to move. And there's something to be said for the Thunder really prey on turnovers. That's a lot of times. A lot of these games have been close in the second half and the third quarter. They just get out and run because they get it out in transition. Tyrese Halliburton, the first 4 games against the Knicks, played 40 minutes a night, had 6 turnovers total. So they don't turn the ball over a lot. That could be a problem for Oklahoma City.
He hasn't had to play against a defense that has Lou Dort on it yet, who is one of the most fun people to watch in the entire NBA. All right, quick break. We have a text that says we need to win a wrong shots. Nothing could be more true. Long shots is coming up next. So download Prize Picks now because you want it for the next segment. Coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give them a call today, 858-376-1299, or visit them online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. Gary, and thank you for being here today. Oftentimes when you're buying a home, when you're going through the process, you get hit with a hurricane or a tornado worth of paperwork. How do you help your clients through that storm that's heading their way?
Well, I take the time to explain all the documentation, and one of the red flags is called affiliated business disclosure statement. It's the realty company, and it's a lot of these big box realty companies have an affiliate business arrangement with a escrow company, for example, and it's really just another profit center for them. Their fees are higher than your traditional escrow companies, and there's a lot of nickel and dime fees, and you have to really be aware of that. And they actually disclose, for instance, I'm looking at one right now where their real estate commissions can range anywhere from 1% to 10%. I'm like, really, 10%? And then also, too, they have the affiliate business arrangement with this lender, and it clearly states right here that the loan origination fees can range from 0 to 2.5%. 2.5 would be absolutely ridiculous and outrageous. And then also, too, discount points, 0 to 3% of the loan amount. Well, that means you could be paying up to 3 points of buying down that interest rate. But again, it's their disclosure. But what they're really saying is that they have a financial interest in these companies, whereas I don't. I use a national escrow company. So consumer beware.
Call Gary Cooper today, 858-376-1299. Visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com and eliminate the smoke and mirrors. That's what Gary does. Call him today, 858-376-1299. San Diego Sports 760 every day. Around this time, we do a little something called Long Shots. Sammy and I use Prize Picks. It's a daily fantasy sports app, and if you use promo code Fletch, you can get a $50 bonus. So we recommend you use that as well. But whatever daily fantasy sports platform you like to use, this is the segment for you. Sammy Long's going to create a lineup, and you can put it in and try to win some money tonight. 619 texts into the show and says Sammy's Wrong Shots needs a win. That's cold and below the bet, Sammy.
Wrong Shots. Pretty creative, though.
I didn't write it. That was 619.
619. Listen, I lost some money yesterday. I'm sorry that Yannick Sinner got pushed to a break point
for last week. 949 says Alondria from Love Island needs to put that tongue away. You're telling me, dude. That's the exact quote from my wife last night too, by the way. Every time she goes in for a kiss, she is so tongue forward. And that guy Ace, same exact way.
Did you just say on the radio that your wife is so tongue forward?
No, she said that same thing last night about Alondria from Love Island.
Okay.
We're sitting there watching, and my God, every time she goes in for a kiss, it's just bleh, bleh. Kind of gross, dude. 858, why do fools move into a condo then get a dog? There is nothing wrong with moving into a condo and getting a dog. I got a dog. Yes, there is something wrong with moving into a condo and getting like a lab or a border collie, a dog that needs to move around and run a lot. But if you're getting a tiny little mutt like I got, he is more than happy in the condo. That dude sleeps more than anything. And 619 says, let's please stay away from tennis on Prize Picks today. Sammy, that's another text just for you.
French Open has not been kind to us.
I think you're 0 on the French Open.
Well, Djokovic is playing right now. Technically, if you power played our thing, it's still alive.
Stop trying to justify, bro. Stop trying to justify.
No, I'm just saying.
Let's get a winner right now, Sammy. Hit the button.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, got it. It's time for Sammy's Long Shots.
Got the Stanley Cup final starting tonight. Is there some hockey in the rundown here?
There is some hockey.
I like
a couple hockey picks in the rundown.
All right.
I saw, as we just read, the text line does not want tennis.
No tennis.
They do not want Roland Garros picks.
No tennis.
I actually have a friend who's number 4 on a certain app's leaderboard about tennis picks.
Good for your certain friend. Why aren't you using his picks?
That's what I know. I need more offerings. I need more offerings on here.
Should your friend guest host Long Shots one day?
He can call in right now and he'll do it. He's a good better. All right. So we got some baseball in here and we got some hockey. Let's start with some hockey. Stanley Cup Finals tonight. Excited for this one. Edmonton playing Florida, rematch of last year. The Edmonton Oilers. So last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, Florida Panthers got up 3-0. Edmonton comes all the way back and forces a Game 7, and yet the Florida Panthers still win. There's a lot of stars in this series with Tkachuk, Draisaitl, and Marchand, but a lot of stuff going on here. The Edmonton Oilers, they make me sick. As someone who's been an LA Kings fan his whole life and they have sent my team home 4 straight seasons. They're damn good, though. We're going Leon Draisaitl tonight, going a little bit in the deep cuts. 9 faceoffs won. We're staying away from points because I think both goalies are going to be pretty good tonight, especially Bobrovsky for Florida. But it will be in Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl, more than 9 faceoffs won. Him and McDavid make this team go. And they double up shifts at the end of games if it's close. So they want to get usually 2 minutes of ice time with McDavid and Draisaitl. A lot of opportunities for faceoffs, and both very good teams. So more than 9 faceoffs won for Leon Draisaitl. On the other side for Florida, Brad Marchand, 1.5 shots on goal. I think we're going to see a big night from him. This is the former Boston Bruin, a guy who has bought. The Bruins have come short a lot of years in the NHL postseason. Now he's with Florida, completely changed this team. This team actually kind of snuck into the playoffs, even though they won it last year and have gone on a tear. He's been a direct reason for that. More than 1.5 shots on goal for Brad Marchand.
Marchand's the dude that took the cheap shot in the last series.
Yeah.
When he squared up a dude from like 10 feet away and slap shot one at him.
Yeah, Marchand doesn't play around. Marchand's not a guy to mess with. So
let's go, Marchand.
1.5 shots on goal.
No Stuart Skinner picks?
I thought he was blacklisted.
I think so. He's got a great stash.
By the way, you want to talk about my successful rate on long shots when you messed it up last week because you wanted to pick a guy who you thought had a good mustache.
It's a great mustache.
Besides the point.
Don't deny it.
Aaron Judge, 1.5 total bases against the Cleveland Guardians tonight, more than.
Rise.
Aaron Judge destroyed the Dodgers on Friday and Saturday. Had 2 home runs on Saturday, was fantastic in that game, and a single, I believe, in that one. But cold yesterday, didn't get a hit. Cold on Sunday against the Dodgers. 1.5 total bases. I think he's due. They're not keeping him down for this long. More than 1.5 total bases for that.
Dude, his last 5 games are hilarious. Against Cleveland on June 3rd, 0 total bases. Against the Dodgers on June 1st, 0 total bases. Against the Dodgers on May 31st, 9 total bases.
I know. It's completely bipolar. Last pick in Fletch, you're going to get to veto one. Tony Gonsolin. I know the Dodgers up north, but 4 pitcher strikeouts. We're going more than, simply because, like the Padres, the Dodgers actually went to extra innings in the last 2 games, and the Padres have actually been able to kind of save a lot of the pen because it's been low scoring games. With the Mets and the Dodgers, they've been hitting the ball all over the yard in these last 2 games. So the pens are completely taxed for both teams. Gonsolin's going to be stuck in there, even though he hasn't been excellent this season. I think Robert's going to leave him in there because at some point they've used Tanner Scott in the last couple games. Their 15th pitcher hit the IL yesterday. So they can't really afford to be going to a bullpen game, especially with kind of working some of the new guys into the back end there. So Gonsolin, more than 4 pitcher strikeouts for LA. So
no notes.
No notes.
Because I want to watch the hockey game tonight, so I want to have someone on each side. Otherwise, one of them were getting vetoed. I think you're rock solid with the Tony Gonsolin. I think you're rock solid with Aaron Judge. No notes, but I am going to flex play it and not power play it.
Yeah, with a 4-legger, let's flex play. Because we're giving us one more shot to lose.
That way, if you get 3 out of 4, I think you still get like $30 if you're doing a $20 entry.
Technically, if I power play, I still hit a winner.
With an asterisk,
which we haven't been giving me credit for, because I've had a lot of 2 for 3s.
I want to know also if you're saying the first dude's name right.
Who?
Draisaitl.
I 100% am saying it right because I've watched a gazillion of his games, and sadly, he's cooked my team.
All right, so Draisaitl, more than 9 faceoffs.
More than 9 faceoffs. Brad Marchand for the Florida Panthers, more than 1.5 shots on goal. He's got a lot to prove tonight. I think the Edmonton's going to be trying to take Tkachuk out of the game. He's the American superstar. He went off for America in the Four Nations faceoff. Tony Gonsolin, more than 4 pitcher strikeouts because I think Robert's going to leave him in for a while. Aaron Judge gets right tonight. More than 1.5 total bases for the Yankees against the Guardians.
Hopefully that's going to win you some money tonight. But if you want to win some tickets to go see Dierks Bentley out at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on June 19th, right now is the time to call. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. But if you want to win a family 4-pack, 877-767-4760, call right now. And if you haven't seen Dierks Bentley live, I think I've seen him more than any other musical artist. I've seen Dierks Bentley live like 5 times. He puts on such a fun show, man. Audience engagement at its max. He's drinking beer on stage the whole time. You got to go see him live. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 19th. I most likely will be there tailgating beforehand and going to the concert. So call right now, 877-767-4760. Call number 7. You're going to the show. And what we just did on Long Shots was a daily fantasy sports lineup that you can input onto Prize Picks when you download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code Fletch. If you haven't done so yet, now is the time. Prize Picks offering tons of opportunities for you the entire way through the basketball championship. You never know what's going to be hitting the board, but there are discounts inbound. There are community lineups with 25% boosts in payouts live on the Prize Picks app. So download it today. Follow along with some of the biggest celebrities in sports, and follow along with me and Sammy every single day. That's what we do with Long Shots. We do everything through the Prize Picks app. So download the app today. Use promo code Fletch. Join the millions of active members already, the billions of dollars that have been awarded in winnings. You can win up to 2,000 times your cash with one single Prize Picks lineup. My brother was 1 leg away about a week ago from turning a $5 entry into $2,000. He was so close. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch and understand the Prize Picks, they put their members first. That means fast, easy, quick, safe withdrawals from the Prize Picks app into your bank account. I've withdrawn over $5,000 since I downloaded Prize Picks in November of 2023. If you think you got the skills, you can win some serious cash on Prize Picks. Download it today. Use promo code Fletch. Get that $50 bonus and start running your game all through the final week of the basketball season on Prize Picks.
This sport is sponsored by eBay. After Manny Machado goes 4 for 4 with a big 2-run double in the top of the 9th inning last night to tie the game, Padres able to win 3-2 in extras. Tonight, there'll be game 3 of the series in San Francisco. This will be at 6:45. Currently, a pick 'em on the money line with -110 both ways. The run line set at 7.5. Nick Pivetta will be going for the Pods, while Kyle Harrison will be going for the Giants. And then in the NBA Finals, get going tomorrow night at 5:30, be in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is an early 9.5-point favorite for game 1. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for. From smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain, get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. My name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long. We're with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. Hey, I don't know if everyone's following this story out of the world of golf, but there's a 17-year-old who went 63-63 in the longest day in golf, which is the last day of qualifiers for the U.S. Open, which is coming up next week. 17 years old. Dude beat out Max Homa and a bunch of other pros who are now not going to be competing in the U.S. Open. At 17 years old, he fired off 63-63 back-to-back rounds to qualify for the U.S. Open. One of the coolest parts about that tournament every single year. So just keep that in the back of your head. Huge storyline going into next week. Going to be fun. We're going to get back to the Padres big time this hour. Somebody, and it's actually my buddy Nick, who, if you are a part of Padres Twitter, you follow along, you've seen a bunch of Nick's tweets over the years, but he was a San Diegan who moved to Seattle. He just put up the numbers comparison for Xander Bogaerts through his first 324 games of his Padres career versus Eric Hosmer's first 324 games of his Padres career. And this is going to make everyone want to puke. So we'll save that for a little bit here. Maybe finish your lunch now before we give you the comparison from Xander Bogaerts to Eric Hosmer. But we got the NBA Finals beginning tomorrow night. We got the NHL Stanley Cup Final beginning tonight. We got tons going on in the world of sports, and we're only 91 days away from the beginning of the NFL season. So, Sammy Long, let's waste no more time. Let us hit that button and get going with the big 3 hour 2.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
All right, big threes when Sammy takes us through the top stories in the world of sports. I did want to give our buddy Mitch a shout out, who just won those Dirks Bentley tickets, and we got a 4-pack of SD Fair tickets coming up just a little bit later on in the show. But Sammy, where are we starting with hour number 2?
So Brian Schottenheimer, new Cowboys head coach, just had a quote today about them winning the Super Bowl. Are we going to win the Super Bowl this year? I hope. I think we are. If we don't, you move on. Stephen A. Smith took a lot of umbrage with these comments. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like Brian Schottenheimer's approach?
What's he supposed to say? Cowboys aren't winning the Super Bowl this year. I think he knows that just as much as the rest of us know that, but it's not a fair question to ask. There's one team that's going to win the Super Bowl this year. Nobody knows who it is exactly, but I think we know the Super Bowl bubble. And I think there's maybe 6 teams in it this year. I think the Bills are in it. I think the Ravens are in it. I think the Chiefs are in it. I think the Bengals are in it if they can do anything defensively, because that offense is something special, man. Sammy's going to push back, but I do think the Niners are in it because the NFC is a little bit down this year. And I think the Rams might be in it. So there's your window. Maybe the Lions. I don't think the Eagles are in it this year.
Lions.
I do like the Lions a lot. I think they're going to be the most run-heavy team in the world heading into this season. But I don't think the Eagles are in it this year after what's happened to their team this last offseason. I don't know. The Cowboys aren't even close to that for me.
Yeah, the Cowboys are a victim of they have stars. You have CD, you have Micah, and Dak is not one of the top premier quarterbacks in the league. But at the same time, you have, Dak Prescott is a national star. He's a huge brand because he's a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. And it feels like Jerry's always chasing the ticket sales. I feel like if the Cowboys were seriously invested in winning, and it's a shame for some Cowboy fans because I think this team.
Why not hire Belichick?
Why not? I think Belichick's past his prime. I don't think that Belichick clearly is living his own best life.
Belichick, Schottenheimer.
I don't agree with the Schottenheimer, but you're telling me Mike Vrabel couldn't have come in and changed the culture?
He got the Patriots job. He wanted the Patriots job.
I guarantee you, if there was a choice between going to Dallas or New England, he would pick Dallas There was plenty of coaches that could have come in and changed culture. Jerry picked a puppet. Brian Schottenheimer is a guy that's not going to be pushing back on the media. When Jerry's giving his press conferences after the game, like he always does, he's the only owner in the league that gives a press conference with the media scrum that gets more headlines than the head coach. He knew exactly what he was doing with this. Schottenheimer, I guess, is what he's supposed to say, but the Cowboys feel like they're just really treading water right now, and I don't. Until they make wholesale changes, I don't think that they can really be relevant.
Unfortunately, you have to trade Micah. I think you have to. You probably need to trade CD. You need to try to get back some sort of draft capital, and then you need to hire a GM who knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
to handle your next 5 drafts.
The curious thing that I think they just went with Brian Schottenheimer. Remember they buried it. It was weird.
Yeah,
they dropped
it was on a Friday
night too. They kind of buried it, and it was the Super Bowl week, and the Luka trade was just about to happen. So people really didn't talk about it much. It kind of got buried in the news. This was a puppet hire. I don't think if you were a GM or a head coach, there's something that even though it's the Dallas Cowboy brand, do you want Jerry Jones as long as he's there saying stuff for you? I don't know. So Persham Sharania, big news out of the NBA. Kevin Durant, 4 to 6 teams are interested in him, quote, seriously want KD. And now the Suns have hired a new head coach as of today. They're going to work with him to find a trade partner. How valuable do you think Kevin Durant is, and where would you like to see him go?
Like, even at his age, even with his injury history, Kevin Durant is still one of the most lethal scorers in the entire league, maybe of all time. Kevin Durant is that guy. He's huge for anybody who brings him in. If you're a Spurs, even though he's probably not staying in the West, I don't know. I think that it's a huge get for anybody at this point. What if he ends up back with the Warriors for a little farewell tour?
That'd be interesting. I mean, if you're the Suns, would you consider Kuminga and Podziemski and a bunch of picks? Now, the Warriors, if they did this, because you're
literally doing it for 1 year,
and they'd be awful for the next 7-8 years.
They're probably already going to be awful for the next 7 or 8 years, right?
You emptied the cabinet for Jimmy Butler. I don't think they probably have a package, but the package, apparently they came down on the asking price because they wanted a lot. But you got to keep in mind, Kevin Durant is 38 years old, lots of knee injuries. You're got to pay him the max level salary. He could be lethal coming in with the team. I don't know if the domino's going to fall after Giannis, because Giannis is going to take precedent. He's way younger. He's 30 years old, and he's a better player at this point in his career, considering what he can do after.
I did see a story yesterday. The asking price for KD is going to start to come down.
Yeah, it's coming down because everyone, they can't ask for the same package a Giannis would take. The worst thing for the Suns is the fact that Giannis is possibly wanting out. Now, if you're Kevin Durant, and what's evaded him his whole career is winning a title by himself. He wants to talk about how he's one of the greatest players of all time, and he's been on record saying he's frustrated that he doesn't get talked about in the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, all those debates. You have to go win a title by yourself, not just join a Warrior team. If I'm Kevin Durant and I'm serious about winning a title and not just about getting paid, I'm going to the Eastern Conference. All the things we were highlighting earlier, Giannis probably out of town. Jason Tatum's hurt for all of next year. If you're telling me the only team I have to get through is the Pacers and the Knicks, who just fired Tom Thibodeau,
what if you jump on with one of those teams?
The Knicks would be interesting to give Jalen Brunson a running mate. That's something that they need. They need another scorer.
I'd move Karl Anthony Towns for KD.
Oh, yeah. The question is, would the Suns want that?
I don't know. All right, what's next?
Speaking of Tom Thibodeau, so reports have come out. Dan Hurley is not interested in the job of the New York Knicks job. Said he doesn't want to go through this all again. The reports that have kind of been thrown out there, Jay Wright's been a name that's brought up. Former Villanova head coach Michael Malone, possibly Jason Kidd, interested in that. Are you okay with them firing Tibbs after a day later? And who would you like to see in New York there?
It still seems bizarre to me that you would fire Tibbs. I don't really get the firing. Look, the Knicks have been a joke for basically my entire life. They've been ridiculously relevant the last 2 seasons. Dan Hurley conversation needs to disappear from the lexicon of modern sports. Like, if UConn's good again, great. We'll talk about Dan Hurley then. But that dude makes me more nauseous than Mark Few, which I didn't know that there was a human being alive that could do that.
What did Mark Few do?
I can't stand Mark Few, dude. I have never liked Mark Few. I think he's a really good basketball coach, but he just has one of those faces. Dan Hurley, on the other hand, there is reasoning that I can back up my disdain for Dan Hurley. It is the face he makes every time anything happens in a basketball game, positive or negative for his team. It's the whatever. Dan Hurley needs to go away from NBA discussion. I think we can all agree on that. What'd you say, Jay Wright?
Jay Wright's been brought up. Jason Kidd.
Fascinating, isn't it? Jay Wright, who I think is one of the better basketball minds in the country, period. When you're talking about just basketball minds.
Retired at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, he did. And he's been decent on he was with CBS the last couple of years.
Yep.
I like Jay Wright making the move.
Jason Kidd reporting they're interested in Michael Malone. It's been thrown around a lot, fired from Denver. Now, Jay Wright is the interesting choice, not only because he's a great basketball mind, he coached all these guys.
And he's still
Brunson,
young.
Bridges, Hart, all the Villanova guys, those were all him. So he would know how to coach them. I think he could handle the big market. Jason Kidd, I've always been a fan of. I think Jason Kidd would be a good hire, another guy who could handle the bright lights. I don't understand what the Nuggets did firing Michael Malone to begin with. I didn't really get that at all. Maybe if you keep Michael Malone, you win that game 7 against Oklahoma City. I think Adelman completely got out coached, made no adjustments in that game whatsoever. So there's some options for the Knicks, but in terms of firing Thibodeau, I mean, 25 years hadn't been in Eastern Conference Finals. You get through them and put up a fight. You beat a Celtics team you probably had no business beating in terms of coming into the series, and then you take the Pacers 6 games. I don't understand. It's a very New York thing. Just kind of blow them out of there. Thibodeau, I know people are frustrated. Doesn't really adjust. Only plays 7 guys, but he is a great defensive mind. I think this is just really reactionary for a Knicks team that is probably going to be at the top of the Eastern Conference next year.
I'm curious if Jay Wright even has any interest in returning to coaching. I remember he had some health issues at Villanova, missed a little bit of time, but then when his actual retirement came, he said it was just to spend more time with his family.
Well, and he's making like $5 million a year.
He just jumped right back into the broadcast booth, though. He's not calling games, but he's doing the studio work. And Jay Wright was so good as a college basketball head coach. I wonder if he has any interest in returning to being a head coach.
Certainly the job he has now is great. Everyone loves you. You sit in the desk. He obviously knows basketball, so it's easy. $5 million. Now, being the head coach of the New York Knicks, do you want to invite that kind of stress into your life or
There's
the kind of glory?
I
mean, you talk about if he brought a championship to New York, you talk about being a hero to the people of the Northeast with Villanova winning a championship.
And a generational hero, too. New York Knicks have sucked for 20 plus years.
The person who brings the Knicks a title will have a statue and forever be outside of the Garden.
Knicks or Jets? What would rank higher for New York? For one of those,
is it Giants over Jets in New York?
I think it is, but I mean, like the Jets getting back to prominence, the Knicks getting back to prominence.
Well, the Jets being the NFL, probably, but the Knicks,
that's a rabid fan base.
Yeah, probably the Knicks because you split the city in half with Jets and Giants fans, and I don't know that
Brooklyn doesn't
really
have nearly.
Right? What fan? Who's a Brooklyn Nets fan?
It's the Knicks in New York. That's a fun conversation, man. Jay Wright, I think you should do it, pal. If you want my 2 cents, I would like to see Jay Wright back in basketball as a coach. He's too talented not to be. There's not very many. Like, I know it's crazy because you think about the top of the top in terms of the basketball world. It's always been college head coaches, the Coach K's, the Roy Williams, the Dean Smiths. It's always been those guys who get the credit for what UCLA guy. What in the world?
Cronin.
No, UCLA, the really, really famous head coach. How am I drawing a blank on this? Like the college basketball coach. This is insane.
I'm blanking too. Now we're gonna look like idiots.
We already do. I cannot believe this. But college basketball has always been the tippy top of the pyramid when it comes to head coaches. Outside of the one-off Phil Jacksons in the NBA, Jay Wright could be that guy in the NBA.
Coaching all those guys. We'll see what happens. I doubt he probably wants that job, but we'll see.
Before we go to break, I'm pulling this name out. Come on, UCLA coach.
Of course, everyone. Yeah, how do we miss that?
Wooden. Thank you. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Take a quick break. SD Fair tickets coming up in about 10 minutes, so keep it tuned here. We'll go back to the Padres here coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760. The most puke-worthy stat you've heard in the last couple of years when it comes to the San Diego Padres is coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 and our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back, and you can win your way in before you can buy them. Live performances by Bryan Adams, Ed Sheeran, John Fogerty, Mariah Carey, Maroon 5, Sammy Hagar, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more. September 19th and 20th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Listen to win tickets before you can buy them. We're giving out keywords at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. I know this past hour's keyword was festival. Airfare, hotel accommodations, all in Las Vegas, plus $1,000 spending cash in our exclusive Capital One cardholder presale. Will begin next Wednesday, June 11th at 10 a.m. All right, we got a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego Fair coming up within the next 10 minutes, so stay tuned. Yes, I am a clown for not being able to pull out John Wooden's name. I cannot believe I did that. The conversation of college basketball literally starts and stops with the GOAT, John Wooden. But the Padres here. So this tweet, Nick lived in San Diego for a long time, moved to Seattle, is a prominent figure on Padres Twitter. But Nick puts out this tweet: the first 324 games in their Padres career, Eric Hosmer, 43 home runs, 166 RBI, 286 batting average, and an 802 OPS. Xander Bogaerts, first 324 games of his Padres career, 33 home runs, 10 less than Hosmer, 123 RBI, 40 less than Hosmer, 271 batting average, 15 less than Hosmer, and a 734 OPS, about 70 worse than Hosmer. Take that for what it is. Hopefully there's some good years of Xander left, but this dude is on the Padres for a long, long, long time. This contract is much more expensive and longer than the contract given to Eric Hosmer. They are very similar players who came over at very similar times in their career. Eric Hosmer, all-time first baseman with the Kansas City Royals, won a World Series with them. Xander Bogaerts, all-time shortstop with the Boston Red Sox, won a World Series with them. Both of them making their way over to San Diego, really struggled in their first few years. I hope it doesn't turn out the same way with Xander, but at what point are we going to stop watching the clock on him, man? He made a really nice play at short last night that might have saved the game for the Padres. He has been hitting a little bit better this year. But man, the comparison is scary.
Totally. I mean, he's not a bad player.
No,
he's not a bad player. He's a fine player.
He's bad at the money.
At times can be good. That's the problem. Is people want to look up the stats like, well, he's not horrible. No, he's not horrible, but he's not. If you could take back that contract, you would. And with baseball, with such long contracts, 10, 11-year deals, I mean, you're just stuck with them with really no outs. Again, hopefully kind of gets back to form. Some people kind of got paid off 1 or 2 seasons with the Red Sox, so probably overpaid him a little too early there. But you know, it sucks because if Bogaerts didn't have this contract, the amount of help that could be placed at certain spots in this lineup, you would have a left fielder, you would have some extra help on the bullpen. I mean, looking at what AJ Preller's done, you know, I tweeted out this question: was AJ Preller a genius for letting some of these guys go? Because we were very critical in the offseason. Tanner Scott left, missed out on Sasaki, Jurickson Profar left, Hassan Kim out of town. Tanner Scott's really struggled with the Dodgers. He had a big performance last night for them, going through Soto and Alonso, but really has not been good the last 3 weeks. Sasaki has struggled. He's been hurt recently, but people are really concerned about his fastball and if he can catch up to it in the majors. And it sucks because AJ Preller has shown what good of a GM he is and how he really can put together a good ball club on some short money. If he had that Bogaerts money, if he had that kind of freedom, had they not paid him, I mean, what he could do going and finding guys would be special.
Here's the problem. Like, I see what you're saying, and it's nice to give AJ Preller some credit here. I think he's done an excellent job, especially with this year's team, finding Nick Pivetta, and he's been money the last few years. Remember Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha coming over before the season. Last year with the start of the season, Matt Waldron had the seasons now that Michael King is putting together outside of injury. And this year with Pivetta and Sheets, where are the Padres without those two guys? They're nowhere. They're way worse than they have been. But you also look at the names who he's traded away. And look, Juan Soto is doing what Juan Soto is doing in New York. He's very, very rich. I think that contract would have been too rich for the Padres anyways, and it may end up being the worst contract in Major League Baseball history.
The Yankees.
It's too rich for anybody. Nobody is worth $700+ million. I think it's an insane thing to do.
Unless it's Steve Cohen.
Yeah, I guess so. But Mackenzie Gore is a really, really nice pitcher this year for the Nationals. CJ Abrams has been good. Josh Naylor has been good. There are a lot of names scattered throughout Major League Baseball that were in the Padres farm system that would be good Padres right now and would be cheap Padres right now. It's tough when you look at what AJ Preller's done, and the NLCS a few years ago was great. The postseason run last year was great. It's a lot of fun, and you don't get there without some of the moves that Preller has made. But when you look around baseball and see other lineups littered with guys who were in the Padres farm system, and they made moves for people that just didn't end up working out. I'm talking about Mike Clevenger. I'm talking about Soto. It's tough to give all the credit to AJ Preller for this year's team when you're still seeing that happen. I think Mackenzie Gore pitches today, actually.
He is. I feel like in Major League Baseball, I feel like there's this kind of narrative of you need to give up your farm system for a star. It's different than the NBA. The NBA, you might need, hey, we're going to give up a good portion of our team because we need a bona fide scorer who can give us 30 a night, no matter what, if it eludes our depth. I feel like in Major League Baseball, we've seen the teams that have won World Series. Look at last year for the Dodgers. Who was the MVP in the World Series? It wasn't Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani had a pretty rough World Series. Tommy Edman was the reason they even got there in the NLCS after they beat the Mets and was raking throughout the whole thing. Kike Hernandez, Teoscar Hernandez. A lot of the guys at the end of the lineup you see win World Series. I mean, they didn't win it last year, but Mark Vientos was really kind of the guy that was the unsung hero for the Mets that got them to the NLCS. The whole giving away all your prospects for one guy in baseball, they better be that guy because the Padres gave up. I mean, can you imagine all those names you just read? CJ Abrams is still here right now. Mackenzie Gore. And you do it for Soto. I'm not going to have revisionist history because at the time everyone was celebrating, everyone was going nuts, and that was the move you make because Juan Soto is that kind of guy. But I feel like there's too much emphasis on giving away farm systems for stars versus just getting a solid collective baseball team.
I'm a guy like James Wood. That'd be nice to have an outfielder on this team, and I don't think he ever had any serious time with the Padres. It's tricky, man. All right, let's see. Demi on YouTube says, I could have told you by year 2 that this contract was way worse than the Hosmer contract. I know, and we all said it, but it's weird when you put numbers to it. Demi also saying, somehow we need a team to take this contract over, even if you have to give up a blue chip prospect. Rich McGuire, if you sign a guy because he already has a World Series ring, it's probably too late in their career. Those are some wise words from our buddy Rich.
Very good point.
And it's true with Hosmer. It is true with Xander Bogaerts. Maybe. There's still some time on this contract. We'll see if he can turn it around. And when the Padres signed this contract, it was to bring Xander in as a leader more than it was as the player he was. But you wanted some stats to go with it, man. And the stats have not been there. Absolutely. All right. If you want a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair, now is the time to call 877-767-4760. A 4-pack of tickets to the SD Fair on the line out at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. And it's the Summer Pet-tacular this year out there at Del Mar. SDfair.com for tickets. Enjoy the Summer Pet-tacular at the 2025 San Diego County Fair, the best deal in town, celebrating the special bonds between humans and their pets. 4-pack of ticket on the line, 877-767-4760. Coming up next, Shaquille O'Neal is speaking. We are listening. I am agreeing. Curious what you all think out there. That's coming up next on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by eBay. Stanley Cup Final getting going tonight. Game 1. It'll be in Edmonton against the Florida Panthers. This is a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Final where Tkachuk and the Florida Panthers won it in 7 games. McDavid is looking for his first Stanley Cup title. That game will go on at 5 o'clock. And the Padres back in action at 6:45 tonight. Nick Pivetta will be on the mound against Kyle Harrison, looking to go up 3-0 so far in the series against the Giants. It is currently a pick'em with a slight lean to the Padres. Swapping out your tires. There's nothing like it with eBay. You find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 right now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates do apply. Sammy and I would like to keep our job, so please do text AM to 52886 right now to support keeping AM radio in cars. All right, Shaquille O'Neal went on, I believe this was the Kelsey Brothers podcast, right, that he was on, and they asked him to do a top 10 all-time NBA players list. And he went through it, and really after the top 5, it doesn't really matter because all the drama and controversy is coming in the top 3. So he goes MJ number 1. You know, a lot of people have the MJ LeBron debate. I would have MJ number 1 personally. I think Sammy, you would too, right?
Yes, I would have MJ 1.
But that is the debate in modern times. Is it MJ? Is it LeBron? What really comes into curiosity is that number 2, Shaquille O'Neal, did not put LeBron James. He put 1, Kobe Bryant. I tend to agree with Shaquille O'Neal in this. Now, obviously, Shaq has a little more perspective on this, considering, I don't know, he played with these guys, and Kobe and him had one of the most dominant runs in basketball history as the 1-2 on the Los Angeles Lakers at that point. But Shaq and Kobe also had a really troubled relationship at times when they were playing together. And then really since Kobe's passing, there's been no bigger fan of Kobe Bryant than Shaquille O'Neal. And talking about some of the stories and their relationship after basketball. And it's been a really cool thing to see. But Shaquille O'Neal puts MJ 1, Kobe 2, LeBron 3, and then he backed it up with reasoning. And I'll just give my reasoning real quick on why I agree with Shaq. And look, I've watched plenty of LeBron. I've watched plenty of Kobe. And that's the way you have to do it. You cannot base this off statistics because LeBron will win that argument every single time outside of championships won. You can't base it off longevity because LeBron will win that argument every time. What you got to base it on is the eyeball test. There was nobody more feared in basketball than Kobe Bryant. There was nobody, and I think there's a quote from Dirk Nowitzki out there somewhere. There's nobody I would rather take the final shot than Kobe Bryant. Kobe demanded greatness out of everybody he played with. Kobe demanded the ball in the final 2 minutes of a game. Kobe demanded to have the ball in his hands when the lights were the brightest, when the moment was the biggest, when the opportunity for greatness was at its highest. I feel like from watching as much Kobe and LeBron as I have over my lifetime, LeBron has not always been that guy. Think about one of the biggest games LeBron has ever played in. Kyrie hit the biggest shot. Think about LeBron James jumping from Cleveland to Miami. He was literally deferring one team for another team in a pivotal moment in his career, and it worked out nicely. 1-2 championships with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Shaq leaves the Lakers, and Kobe says, F that, I'm going to get 3 more without him. I got Kobe up there because of one thing and one thing alone, and that is the Mamba mentality. That is the fear that he struck into everybody. That is his demand for greatness from everybody around him, and his demand for greatness from himself, which was even bigger than the demand he had from everyone else. There's stories about when Kobe would go to UC Irvine to work out, and some of the college kids who watched it, because he would just wear a gym hoodie and just kind of sneak off into the background, and they said they'd never seen anyone attack the weights like Kobe would. His famous quote about, while you're sleeping, I'm getting better. That is what makes Kobe Kobe. And the authenticity that he did that with his entire career is something that the NBA is really lacking since his passing, unfortunately. Kobe Bryant is one of the GOATs. I could even hear an argument for him being greater than Michael. I could hear that, but it's not real.
I'm curious about what all our listeners' thoughts are on this. 70470. Start your message with team. 70470. Start your message with team. Where do you think on this? Kobe better than LeBron? Listen, Kobe Bryant is my favorite athlete of all time. It's not even close. I love Kobe Bryant. Grew up watching him. Got me into basketball. Got me into Lakers. I remember being 5 years old, living in Los Angeles when Ron Artest hit the shot over the Celtics in 2010. So always a massive place in my heart for Kobe. This is it's a tough debate. Michael's won because even he said that by Kobe basically emulated Mike. He tried to act like Mike. His game was so similar to Mike, so you can't really put it above Mike. I have Mike as the greatest of all time just because there's something about 6 for 6 and the fact that he went to go play baseball for a couple of years in the middle of it. I mean, he was so dominant. It was so much better than everyone else. It was insane in that era. And you have an era of Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon and Reggie Miller and a lot of great players that would have had rings had he not been there. Now, the Kobe LeBron debate. Kobe's got him on rings. He's got 5. LeBron's got 4. You know, the argument for LeBron is he beats everyone, including Mike, in most statistical categories in terms of all-time greatest of most points ever scored. And LeBron has been an amazing player. I don't take anything away from him, but there is something to be said for the eye test. And what Shaq was saying was it's almost like Kobe gets written off in the top discussion because he was so much like Mike. And LeBron is such a unique player for him being that body type, being an even better passer. I mean, it's LeBron outside of Magic Johnson, you could make an argument is one of the greatest passers of all time. And he's 6'9". He's a freight train coming down the floor. What Kobe was able to do with winning, you win the first 3 titles. Shaq's the MVP on all those teams, and Shaq, was probably it was 1A, 1B, and then it went 2009, 2010 with Powell and D Fish and all those were great Laker teams as well in our test. But yeah, Kobe doesn't get enough respect on this all-time list. In yes, if you are a statistics person, LeBron's your GOAT. If that's what it is, and you think titles matter a little bit less than all-time accomplishments, LeBron is your guy, and there's really no debate. If you're going off killer mentality, like to what you were talking about, what's that Dream Team documentary where they were all at the club in Vegas and Kobe was going downstairs at 4 a.m. to lift weights? Mm-hmm. Like there's something that you can't coach out of that. So Kobe, I have no problem with this. I love Shaq with this. I've gotten in many almost fist fights over arguing Kobe was better than LeBron. But if we're being factual, I can hear both sides because LeBron does have the statistics, but I love my guy Kobe.
All right, we got a ton of text on this one. 619 says Kobe was 6 and 16 against LeBron. Good thing he demanded greatness. Nice word salad though, Fletch. Look, I get it. And you can get kind of lost in the sauce in this, but also Kobe's run of dominance started in the 90s. LeBron got into the league in like 2003. So yeah. Kobe was in his prime a little bit before LeBron even got to the league. And then the first 9 years in Cleveland or whatever it was for LeBron James, first 7 or 8 years before he went to Miami, they're not on even playing fields. First, like one's playing in the East, one's playing in the West, sure. But like LeBron didn't have a real team around him in the middle of Kobe's greatness. By the time you could really talk about LeBron with the Heat, Kobe was already almost on his way out of the league. 858, as a Spurs fan, Kobe is the only player I ever feared when playing against the Lakers. My top 5 starting team is MJ, Kobe, KD, Duncan, and Jokic. That's a fun starting 5. God, could you imagine seeing them on the court at the same time? Never. 626, Kobe over LeBron for sure. LeBron playing for stats. Jordan and Kobe played for championships. Kobe is just a dog and a killer.
That's where Kobe reigned supreme. Him and Mike had something different. I mean, you hear him talk. You hear the excellence and dedication to his craft. You saw Michael in The Last Dance. And not that LeBron doesn't have this, because LeBron, I don't want to make it sound like LeBron's not a super dedicated player, because he is. And he was the next guy after Kobe was in the weight room. That was the first guy down there with Wade. So this is not a shot to LeBron, but Kobe and Michael had that, I am going to absolutely disprove you. In The Last Dance documentary, when Michael actually broke down crying, talking about it's kind of cost him relationships, his wanting to win, and just the dedication of Kobe. And there's something to be said for those 2008, 2009, 2010. Lakers lost to the Celtics. Then 2009 beat the Magic in 5 games, and they beat the Celtics in 7. I think that team had less on it than some of the Miami Heat teams did. Those teams were stacked with Wade and Bosh and Birdman and Mario Chalmers. I mean, that was up in Ray Allen, up and down the roster, elite. Not that the Lakers weren't, but Kobe needs more respect in this debate. The craziest thing on his list, Kobe gets the headlines that he put him over LeBron. The one thing I do got to disagree with Shaq though, and
is Shaq on his own list?
No, he took him off.
Shaq should be on his own list.
Shaq should be on his list. Now, Kareem was left off this list. That's my only problem with the list is, like, let me read the top 10. Just MJ, Kobe, LeBron, Magic 4, Bill Russell 5, Wilt 6, Bird 7, Olajuwon 8, Duncan 9, and Dr. J at 10. All phenomenal players. Kareem needs to be on that list.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I would agree.
I think if I was having
Kareem, also great actor, underrated actor. You seen Airplane?
Yes.
He's so good at that movie.
Shout out to Kareem. I think I was having a debate with someone the other day about like the most disrespected players of all time, and these guys don't belong on the top 10 list. But I really feel like Allen Iverson and Derrick Rose, two guys that,
dude, I love AI.
AI does not get enough respect as being one of the all-time great guards of all time. Just I think because of his size, what he was able to do with his body type. Can you imagine if he was like 3 inches taller and just bigger? I mean, he would average 50 points today.
And he made long shorts cool, which was cool for Allen Iverson to do.
Early 2000s.
Wearing shorts all the way down to your ankles, basically.
Yeah. And he had the greatest press conference moment of all time, bar none. Practice, man.
Talking about practice. I'm a franchise player here. And we talking about practice. Yeah, but it's when you get going. The other thing I would hold Kobe over LeBron in is the way former players talk about him.
Yeah.
Does anyone talk about LeBron like they had the fear of God put into them the way that players will talk about Kobe Bryant? Like you listen to Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan talk about Kobe now, and they're like, we were pooping ourselves before we played against Kobe.
It's funny because LeBron's been criticized before, and I don't think this has always been fair because LeBron does set up his teammates very well, and that's a special trait of LeBron, but that he doesn't take the last shot. Like Michael and Kobe were never letting someone take the last shot except them.
To a point where sometimes it hurt their team.
So exactly, where they would shoot them out of games, but if you want someone to shoot you out of game, you want it to be your best player. Like LeBron got ripped for kicking it to Allen in the game 6 against the Spurs. Now they ended up winning that series, so you got to credit LeBron. I think some of that criticism is unfair of him passing late in games, but there's something to be said for that killer mentality that 626 was talking about.
Maybe we'll play it for you on our way out today, but my favorite interview of all time is Pau Gasol talking about when he was playing, and it was Olympics time, I believe, and he was playing for Spain, and Kobe was playing for Team USA, and Kobe on the first play of the game ran through a screen that Pau Gasol was trying to set. We should find that and play that on the way out. That's coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for being here today. Do we give away the ST Fair tickets? Now I'm blanking, or is that right now?
Yeah, we did. Edward got them.
Edward got them. That's right. Mitch and Edward, thank you for being here today, guys. And we've had tons of interaction. We do appreciate that. Coming up next, we'll find that Pau Gasol sound, play it for you. We'll get you set for game 3 between the Giants and the Padres, get you ready for John and Jim. All that still to come on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Download the Prize Picks app today. When you do, you're going to want to use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. That's going to get you a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 entry. How about this for your first $5 entry? And Sammy, I'm going to need some help with pronunciations. Brad Marchand, more than 1.5 shots on goal. Aaron Judge, more than 1.5 total bases. Tony Gonsolin, more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. And
Leon Draisaitl, more than 9 faceoffs.
There it is. Leon Draisaitl, who is a hockey player, more than 9 faceoffs. So download the Prize Picks app. It's that easy. You just go more than or less than on player stat projections in whatever your sport is. If you're a hockey fan, they got projections for you. If you're a women's basketball fan, they got projections for you. Basketball, soccer, baseball, football season-long entries are live now on Prize Picks. So whatever your sport is, whatever your game is, you can run it on Prize Picks, the best place to get sports action, real money sports action here in California. Millions of active members, tens of millions of active members, billions of dollars already awarded in winnings, the best promotions in daily fantasy sports. I'm talking Taco Tuesday and Flex Fridays. Prize Picks is the spot for you. I've tried all the daily fantasy sports apps. Prize Picks, the only one I've stuck with. Download it today. Use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. Make your first lineup tonight, and you get that $50 bonus. Download the Prize Picks app today and run your game all season long on Prize Picks. For a final time here on San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long, John and Jim are coming up next. We did go and find the clip of LeBron, D. Wade, Carmelo Anthony talking about Kobe running through Pau Gasol's chest, and it is a great clip. I suggest you go find it as well, but they are cursing throughout the entire thing, so unfortunately we cannot play it.
Damn FCC.
But it is, LeBron kind of sets it up by saying Kobe got us in all in a team meeting and said, hey, first play of the chest, I'm running through his effing chest. Or first play of the game, I'm running through his effing chest. And then turns out, first play of the game, Kobe ran through Pau Gasol's chest.
LeBron's like, you're not going to do that. That's your teammate. Like, what do you
such a good clip.
And he's like, get up. Oh, it's the best.
Oh, it was good, man. Kobe, we don't have a Kobe right now. We need another one. It is San Diego Sports 760. We'll get you ready for the Padres game here. Tonight, it's game 3 against the Giants. The Padres have won the first 2. Tonight, Nick Pivetta is going to be going against Kyle Harrison, making his 3rd start for the Giants this year. He has a 2.51 ERA. He's pitched well, 14 innings, 2 home runs given up, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts. Nick Pivetta has been the Padres' best pitcher by far this year. He's 6-2 on the season, 2.74 ERA, 71 strikeouts to 18 walks. He has been fantastic. But tell me if I'm wrong here. Doesn't it feel like tonight's going to be an offensive explosion for both these teams?
One of these games is it's gonna get after it. It's gonna be interesting to see the Padres now in a little bit more of a pressure situation, because the first 2 games it felt like if the Padres could pick one off because they had the pitching disadvantage of not knowing Berger against Roop, and then certainly Kolek, you would take Webb over Kolek. The next 2 games, you have a pitching advantage. So we'll see, kind of flips a little bit. Padres were able to go 2-0. Let's see how they get going. But yeah, one of these games would be nice to watch if there was like some runs scored.
I have a feeling tonight's going to be like a 10-8 game.
They're due.
Both teams are due. These have been the worst 2 offenses in baseball for the last 3 weeks.
And the last 2 games have gone to extra innings. So bullpen's a little tired, getting after it. Could see late in this game some stuff heading out of there up there.
And I do wonder if tension starts to boil over a little bit. Game 1, Wilmer Flores doesn't even get hit. The ball hits off the butt of his bat. And then you got Manny Machado and Jason Hayward standing outside the dugout, staring down the Giants. Maybe something happens here tonight. I love it when teams are playing the teams they actually should be playing in the NL West. Like, this is fun baseball. Maybe something fun happens tonight, but we'll see from Nick Pivetta. I just have a feeling that the Giants offense is due to explode. The Padres offense is due to explode. Maybe tonight's that night. Maybe it's the afternoon game tomorrow. We'll see. But if it's a 10-8 game tonight, you heard it here first.
I feel like Prize Picks is telling us something. Pivetta's strikeout number is at 6. Now that sounds like a lot, but considering how Pivetta's been pitching, I think that'd be more like 7, like Rodon was yesterday. So could be some Prize Picks predicting some runs tonight.
I think it's going to happen. I don't know why I do. Also, NHL Stanley Cup final gets going tonight. Sammy, you got a little preview for us, our hockey guy?
Just quickly, rematch of last year, Edmonton, Florida. So Florida went up 3-0. Edmonton came back last year, forced a Game 7. Florida was able to win. The Stars going to this one. Edmonton, McDavid, and Draisaitl are the 2 superstars in the NHL, and Tkachuk on the other side is kind of one of the American superstars that we were really introduced to in the Four Nations face-off. So should be fun. I'll be fully honest. I am pulling diehard for Florida because I absolutely hate the Edmonton Oilers, but the Edmonton Oilers do. I mean, they're good, man. And every time they seem to come through. So it's basically a pick'em series. Edmonton's a slight favorite to get a little bit of revenge, but should be a fun series going forward.
Last year around this time was when we all got introduced to Oilers Girl. I wonder if she makes an appearance during the Stanley Cup final.
They are in Edmonton tonight, so maybe she pops up here.
I believe her name is Kate. Maybe she's on her way back into the limelight coming up tonight. We'll see, and maybe there's some fun video for us to talk about tomorrow.
Quickly, Love Island. You said you wanted to get to that. You watched it last night?
It was fantastic. I'm telling you, this is the worst show of all time. I would like to start by saying that, but I have been downgraded to the iPad. My wife has full control of the TV during the dog days of summer. I will get it back for a little bit for the NBA final. She has her ranking on what I'm allowed to watch on TV and what needs to go to the iPad. Unfortunately, regular season baseball is on the iPad.
Well, Love Island is both.
Dude, I'm telling you, maybe we were in like the 4th or 5th inning last night. Nothing was happening in baseball. It was on the iPad. Time to go
tap into Love Island.
And then Kendall puts on this show. And about 20 minutes into the show, all of a sudden the iPad just is getting lower and lower on its little stand. And I'm fully locked in. I had to literally rewind the Padres game when I got into bed that night after Kendall fell asleep and watched the rest of it. But
I'm gonna need to check. I'm gonna need to watch it tonight.
It's on Peacock. I believe the first season might have been on network TV, and then they quickly realized this is not okay for network TV
television
because every other word is F this and F that, and it's insane. I love it. It's a great show.
SoCal Jayhawk is recommending, a loyal listener, watch a couple of episodes of Stick last night on Apple TV. Think you guys would enjoy it.
Ooh, Owen
we
Wilson.
Also about UConn and Kansas next year.
That's the new golf show on Apple TV.
Yeah,
Plus
that one looks good.
It's like the Ted Lasso of golf was how it was described. I'm looking forward to it.
We're getting a lot of text rolling in. Some LeBron fans here want to get to us. Maybe we'll get that tomorrow.
Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. John and Jim are coming up next. Thank you for being here today. And Sammy and I are going to see you tomorrow. More Dirks Bentley, more SD Fair tickets to give away. We'll have reaction from the Stanley Cup final game tonight. I am going to watch it. I'm going to lock in on some hockey, baby. Let's go do that hockey, as Chance the Rapper would say. More reaction from Padres Giants and NBA final preview coming up tomorrow at San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for being here. John and Jim next.